All right, welcome back. A little off-season edition, Locker Room Access podcast. We have a very special guest, all the way from Auckland, New Zealand. I hope I said that right. Former national champion there, 2017, 2018, and averaged almost 18 points a game in the NBL. So we've got Taine Murray. But before we get to Taine, a couple of sponsors I want to shout out. Number one, Delio. If you haven't seen them on our forum, they are the platform where student athletes and brands can connect. That's how we got Taine on here. We're going to do a deal when he's in the Bahamas coming up. And Delio helps create the contract, get it all set up, make sure it was above board on both sides. So check that out. If you're a student athlete, if you're a brand, Delio is where deals get done. Make sure you check them out. And we have one more other sponsor from our longtime friend, Wesley at True Blue Pools. They're the pool doctor, and it's in Lexington, Kentucky. But they do offer a ton of pool supplies, pool chemicals, pool equipment. End of the summer, there's a bunch of maintenance if you have a pool, you probably have to do. So make sure you check them out. It's True Blue Pools. Lex.com. I will put all of that information down below, and we will get to our guest here, Taine. Appreciate you jumping on, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for sitting through that long-winded intro, but you know the deal. Let's start with obviously New Zealand. You're a long way from home, but like what got you into basketball? When you were at home.
Yeah, I'd say what got me into basketball was probably just my friends. Nothing kind of too crazy, just obviously my friends playing growing up. At lunchtime would have trainings and those kind of things. And yeah, just like developed a passion for the game. Played rugby and basketball like all through primary, intermediate school. Probably wasn't until year 10, which I think like grade 9, grade 10 here, that I kind of decided to take basketball pretty serious. But yeah, I guess that's kind of how I got into hoops.
And what was it? What was the moment that made you say, all right, I want to do this. I want to do this for real. Like, was there something that made you think that, or was it just the natural progression?
Yeah, I think probably like a little bit natural. I think that part of the reason was like juggling multiple sports. I think I wasn't able to like fully focus on basketball, which I obviously love the most. And I think like once I kind of focused on basketball a little more, I was seeing that I was getting better. I guess that probably accelerated like the decision to just play basketball by itself. Super happy that I obviously made that decision. And
Now, was there someone or a team or a thing that you're watching that kind of kept you motivated and kept you in tune with basketball?
Yeah. Funny, I guess like obviously we get, NBA and American sport coverage in New Zealand, but probably like the pro basketball team in New Zealand, New Zealand Breakers, which I'm sure everyone who's listening probably knows Jack Salt. Obviously, yes. Funny, he was like with them as like a development player when I was quite young, but yeah, they've obviously had some amazing, successful players who are from New Zealand and also imports as well. I think Akil Mitchell and some players that played down there. That's probably the team that I followed the most.
And was there a particular player that you were, whether NBA or NBL, that you sort of modeled your game after or thought?
Yeah, I'd say New Zealand player. Pretty sure born and raised in New Zealand is Corey Webster. His name is just the ultimate pro. Obviously, he's played all around the world, EuroLeague, China, New Zealand, Australia. He's played everywhere. And yeah, just someone who I looked up to. Just the way he plays is pretty special, and I've been fortunate enough to, I guess, get to know him as a teammate and a friend as I've gotten older.
And when you played in the NBL, that was for what, the Auckland Huskies, was it?
Yes. Yep.
And how was that experience? Like, how old were you when you started playing?
Yeah. So that was my last year of high school. Kind of funny time. It was during COVID. And, we were fortunate enough in New Zealand to, I guess, not have any COVID cases. So they decided to have like a 6-week, I guess, similar to the NBA bubble, but like on a smaller scale. And yeah, I was kind of wasn't expecting to play in it or anything, and had the opportunity to play in it, and yeah, it was just awesome. Lots of pros, and um, most of the players who play overseas were in New Zealand, so it was like a lot of competition. And yeah, I guess part of that was ESPN had signed a deal that was like the only kind of basketball that's being played, so that really helped with my recruitment as well. So yeah, super fortunate that I had that opportunity.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that in terms of recruitment. You averaged 17 I guess that season, but what was it like being recruited? Who were you hearing from? What were your thoughts during that process?
Yeah, I'd say my recruitment was I guess pretty natural in terms of like started with smaller schools. I know like my freshman and sophomore year, we'd have some like Division 2 schools and different level schools come down to New Zealand. And then yeah, probably like my junior year started hearing from Division 1 schools, which was pretty cool. I remember University of Portland was the first school that I received the offer from.
Pilots, okay.
Yep. And then I guess just naturally, like, I guess built up in the different levels. I'd say that towards the end, probably was looking at schools, Stanford, Creighton, Maryland, and probably Virginia were like some of the few that, we really considered. But yeah, obviously super happy with the decision that I've made to come to Virginia.
Yeah, and what did Jack Salt really help you in that process? Like, what did he
Yeah,
tell
it
you?
was like I said, it was COVID, so it was kind of there wasn't too much
Just Zoom,
socializing going
all
on.
Zoom.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
all on Zoom, but obviously Jack's a huge influence, and Kirk Penny as well. Obviously he was here at Virginia for a year, and I've been fortunate enough to train with him a little when I was back home. Before Virginia had even reached out or anything. So yeah, having both of those guys, obviously being a part of the program and come from the same place. Um, in Auckland and back home in New Zealand. So yeah, awesome to have those two to be able to help.
and those two give you comfort, because I mean I can't imagine that's an easy decision to make, being for so far, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna
Yeah,
figure out where to play and the style of play and all of that. Do those two? I imagine that what helped was that
yeah, for
just kind of,
sure. I
yeah.
mean, obviously two great human beings. I think that just super reassuring for myself and my family hearing what they had to say about Coach Bennett and the program and everything they said. There was no lies. It was just the truth. And the more I've been here, just connecting with them, just yeah, super grateful for the influence that they did have in my decision.
Now, we hear, obviously now you've been here for a little bit, but you hear all the time on the recruitment trail about style of play. It's slow, it's boring. Did that stuff come up at all in terms of when you looked at UVA and the style of play? Like, did that give you any pause?
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like all schools, have different aspects. I wouldn't say like positives or negatives. But I think the more that we looked into it, just the areas that I needed to get better at, and still need to get better at in terms of defense and I guess playing more in a system and those kind of things, it just ticked all the boxes. I guess some people may see it differently, but yeah, we just saw it as an opportunity for me to grow in like so many areas that I needed to address. And yeah, it's just been awesome to be a part of the system and obviously so many learnings that come with playing for Coach Bennett.
And then what about? I always love talking about the national championship, but how much of seeing? I imagine we weren't. Are we on the radar when you're watching the national championship?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with Jack, there was
Yeah,
lots of hype. I obviously didn't really know anything about Virginia at that point. I just knew Jack played there, and yeah, not too much else. But yeah, seeing that performance, obviously, it was to the later stage, it was on the news back home, and some pretty cool things. Yeah, amazing, obviously, and now with Kyle Guy being back and seeing some of the guys from that team coming back in the summer, it's awesome to see and
pretty cool, right?
just have so much respect for what they did for this program, and obviously we reap the benefits of some of that stuff now.
And then walk me through, you get to Virginia. Yeah, first, I mean, how many times have you been to the US at that point?
Yeah, I'd been to the States a few times for different tournaments and camps. Obviously, they're like a few days, a week at a time. Majority being on the West Coast. I think the furthest I'd come over was like Chicago. Had a camp in Chicago, but yeah, just I guess first few days, first few months, really, just blown away. Obviously, so many differences from the States and back home, and yeah, the first time I arrived was the first time I'd been in Charlottesville, so that was pretty crazy in itself.
Wait, what was your initial thought when you got there? Like,
Yeah, I honestly didn't have any expectation. I really didn't know what to expect.
right.
I'd obviously seen, the facilities and amazing campus that we have, but yeah, I was probably just blown away in awe. I guess New Zealand basketball is probably not as developed in terms of resources. So yeah, just even simple things like having your own court 24/7 was just like amazing for me, and different things like that. Yeah.
And in terms of, was there a welcome to Virginia moment for you, and maybe in practice, or like was there a time where you were like, okay, this is different, or was there an easy transition?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like easy at all for sure. I think like all people moving away from home, I wouldn't say there was like specifically one moment where I was just shocked. I think everything in itself like was just a huge transition, on the court, off the court. Um, my first summer I was the only freshman. Igor joined like when school started, so yeah, that was obviously, I was going through everything by myself at first, and then
Really?
it was great to have Igor join. We could kind of go through everything together that first year, which was yeah, super grateful for him, and still really close with Igor. Yeah.
And so the season, I mean, your first year, 2021. How did you feel? Like your role? What were your expectations, I should say, of sort of like your role, your playing time? Were you thinking, I'm gonna come in here and light this place up, or was it more subdued?
Yeah. To be honest, obviously, you like hope for the best and work as hard as you can. I didn't have too much like expectations in terms of like strict minutes or points or anything like that. I was honestly just try to take each day as it came, and try to help the team like when I was called upon. I understood like before coming here that maybe in other systems freshmen kind of get to play a little more, but I was definitely understanding that it could be a process in terms of like getting on the court and getting opportunities. So yeah, I think I was quite real with how it could go. Yeah.
And in comparison, you're averaging what, 17, 18 points a game the year prior. Was there a style that was contrasting there in terms of like, did you feel like there was a big adjustment in terms of the style of play?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously it might be hard for people to comprehend, but just the side, like in New Zealand, we don't have obviously the mass volume of people. So in terms of the athletes that you see and different things, it's just like on a different level here, which is no discredit to New Zealand or anything, but I think yeah, especially once we kind of got into ACC play, the athleticism, the speed, obviously that was a big adjustment. And obviously, just like everything, I think in high school I probably played in front of like 1,000 people at most.
Right.
And coming to JPJ, which is obviously packed, that was just a huge adjustment in itself. So yeah, so many factors I think that probably I was unaware of until I was like in the situation. But yeah, super grateful for all of those experiences.
So was it like one of those things where like the time in which you have to make a decision shrinks a lot, and then now you're, I don't want to say questioning, but maybe you're like, crap, I got to make this decision a lot faster than I'm used to. Was that part of it, or was it?
Yeah. I think that obviously people talk about the style of play at Virginia and slowing down and stuff, but I think it's universal across the board, like at this level, that you got to obviously make decisions quick and things like that. So I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
The closeouts and all those things, and if you're learning the system on top of that, and everything is faster, that seems like a real time crunch.
Yeah.
When you're on the court, it probably doesn't feel great, I'd imagine, because you're like, all right, what am I supposed to do here? Now I have to do it in a split second. It seems.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just going to mention the Iowa game. I feel like that sticks out in all of all the fans' heads in terms of like the Taine game, is
Mhm.
what most people call it. What do you remember about that night and that game in particular, and what did that sort of do for your confidence and the sort of your career?
Yeah, obviously that was awesome. I think that like above everything else, I just love to play, basketball, and I think that obviously like it can be hard sitting on the bench, trusting the process, but yeah, just having the opportunity to play was awesome. I really enjoyed playing. I think that yeah, it goes like unnoticed, but obviously, guys like Kihei and the older guys knew that I was younger and just helped me put me in positions to be able to score and different things like that. So, yeah, that was awesome. I think, you know, like obviously Keegan Murray, and there were some pretty special
Yeah,
players on that team. So, yeah, that was just awesome to be able to experience that from New Zealand. A few months before that, I was just at a small high school in New Zealand. So, that was just awesome to be
yeah.
around players
Now
like
you're at
that.
Sports Center and you're watching
Yeah.
highlights. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So then, in terms of like the rest of like that happens, obviously most dumb fans like me are like, this is it. Now he's going to be the star of the rest of the year. He's going to average 20. Well, but in your mind, were you like, all right, this one game, and like I've got a lot to work on, and I got to get back to it, or was in your mind, did that trigger something like, hey, I could do this?
Yeah, I think obviously like having moments like that just shows like hard work paying off. I think showed that I can obviously help the team and contribute. Yeah, I did. Don't try to get too ahead of yourself. I
Right.
understood that it was just one game, and there was a lot of left of the season. So yeah, awesome game to have. But I think that yeah, it just showed that the things I was working on were getting better. And
And did you see that type of game coming in practice in terms, because everyone wonders like, hey, if you have a big game, is it, if you're out of nowhere, you're getting a little more minutes than you normally would. Obviously, there's matchups and all that, but like,
Hmm.
do you know that coming out of practice and into the game, like, hey, I'm going to have an opportunity tonight.
Yeah, I guess I approach the game like every time, try to approach it the same. So I wouldn't say I like changed anything in particular. I think that yeah, like I said, just fortunate enough that obviously we're shooting the ball well and like teammates were putting me in those positions. But yeah, I wouldn't say I approached it or had anything drastically different before that game. Yeah.
And then we don't have to get too much into it, but then playing time hasn't been, especially that first year, is kind of up and down. We're not sure where you fit into the rotation and how it's all working. We all see, I mean, I think everybody's seen the talent and see the potential. But like, how did you stay positive through those times where you have some games no minutes, some games a lot, some games. So how did that work? Was that a tough challenge for you?
Yeah. I think like ultimately just I've tried to trust in the process. I have the utmost respect for Coach Bennett and the coaching staff. I think that obviously everyone, loves to play basketball and would love to play,
Yeah,
the whole game if they could. But I think, yeah, I've just really tried to learn off the guys in the program, the coaching staff, and address like some of the areas that need improvement. And yeah, I guess I've just like really tried to find joy and like try be as happy as I can, like in getting better. And I
yeah.
think like over the course of like the past few seasons, I've seen like improvements each year. And I think that it's just really exciting to see that growth, and hopefully this upcoming season be able to like piece it all together.
And then in terms of, I mean, we can get into some more detail again, but is there a game in your mind that you think about in terms of like your first couple of years here? Was there a game that you either in terms of learning experience that you were like, I'm grateful for that experience?
Yeah, I say probably like the NC State game that was at JPJ when we won in overtime. I think that was just awesome game. I think that when you make shots, everything feels good. But that was one of like the best atmospheres I've been a part of at JPJ. It's kind of hard to describe to my family and friends back home like how amazing it is playing at JPJ with our fans. But yeah, I think that was really cool. I think obviously towards the end of like the latter part of last season there was like pressure to win in that, and I think that that game was a big game for us. So to be able to play well and win that game was that was awesome.
And then obviously the other NC State game, you also had a great game. I know we lost at that crazy ending, but what about that atmosphere in the ACC tournament last year with the big DJ Burns?
Yeah, just like on a personal level, I think that like if you told me as a kid I was playing in the Wizards arena, I'd probably laugh or wouldn't believe you. But that was awesome. Being exposed to that, I think we obviously had a close game, Boston College, and was proud of everyone the way we pushed through that. And
yeah, great game.
Yeah, tough ending for sure. I think that there's obviously, you can look back and so many things that we could have done better or changed, but I think we put ourselves like in a position to try and win, and obviously that shot hurt, but credit to NC State. Obviously they went on and had a tremendous run.
So we one of the quote unquote narratives for the past few seasons, really since the national championship, is great team, great defense, great regular season, can't get it done in the postseason because there's all these pundits that are like, hey, this system doesn't really work in March, or the players aren't good enough to execute in March. Everyone else steps it up and Virginia can't. Like, what are sort of your thoughts when you hear all of those pundits? Is that motivation, or do you think that's more pressure, or how do you look at it, or maybe how do you think about those things?
Yeah, I think I can obviously speak for myself. I can't really speak for my teammates, but I don't think we read like obviously the media and the kind of expectations and that. I think that we obviously approach like every game to win. I think that sometimes that can get lost, but like we obviously are trying to win every game and put our best foot forward. I think like we're all like aware of the fact that winning in March is like a goal and going as far as we can. And I think that we've tried to address those things, but yeah, I'd say that that's probably
I mean, only one team can win at the when you look at it realistically, it's a struggle. A lot of crazy things have seemed to have happened to us the last couple of years, and it just seems like maybe the ball doesn't roll our way, but we had so many things go our way in 2019. It's just unfortunate they've fallen. But do you think about those things in terms of like, hey, this is something I want to check off, like for the season? Like, hey, we're getting to March. This is you're going to rely on sort of your experience now, being a couple of tournaments in. Is that something you're going to lean on and think about and rally the guys
for
around?
sure. I think that there's no denying that everyone wants to play in March and go as far as you can. I think everyone's obviously, it's like the biggest event at the time that it's on, and all of us as kids, I'm sure different levels of watching it, but everyone knows how big of a deal it is. I think for sure that's definitely our goal, to go as far as we can and try and see how much success we can have. I think that like I said earlier, but just being around the guys who have obviously gone all the way, I think that shows us that it's obviously possible, and just like huge respect for the way in which they did it and still give back to us.
So walk me through the last couple of seasons there, where the tournament we fall short. After, like, what is the I want to say day to day, but what afterwards? Obviously, you get home and you have your exit. But what do you do as a individual to prepare for the next season? Like, what is your thought process? Do you sit down and think, all right, these are the things I need to work on, or do you talk with the coaches and say, hey, what do you need from me in order for us to be better? Like, walk me through like what you did in each of those sort of scenarios.
Yeah, I think probably the same in terms of like approach. I think that obviously have our meetings with the coaching staff, and I think obviously think with ourselves, what do we need to get better at and help this team win. And I guess we put a little like plan in place with the coaching staff and grad assistants and people who can work us out. And I think that's one thing that Virginia obviously does the best, is developing players and working on different things. I think every off season I've seen growth like in between seasons. So yeah, I'd say that's obviously a really important time, even though it's so far from like the following season. But yeah.
Right. So then, walk me through this past. You've got a big year coming up, but walk me through this past off season. Like, what has that been like? What are some of the things that you thought I got to work on this and
Yeah.
that?
I think obviously just like continuing to improve like my slides on the ball. I think I've, really, had experience in like the defense, and I feel good as like an off ball defender and as a team defender. And definitely got better at my slides. So that was one thing that really tried to work on this off season. And yeah, just like continuing to improve my shot. I think the past season was like my most consistent year of shooting. So just trying to build on top of that. And yeah, I guess not really like trying to put anything like in front of the other. I've tried to improve like all aspects of my game. And yeah, it's been awesome to get back in like the team environment and to be able to showcase those improvements.
And how about now we've got our MOP back, Kyle Guys as a coach. How's that transition been? Have you worked with him, and sort of the role that he's playing?
Yeah, it's been awesome. He came for a little bit in the summer, which was really cool. Came with his family, and then yeah, we've been going, obviously being back like in practice kind of this past week, with school starting back up. So yeah, he's been here full time with that, and like yeah, just his presence and the way that he upbrings his program is really cool. I guess I haven't got to know him probably as well as like I'd want to, just with being a few days of being here. But the time that I have spent with him, just obviously so much knowledge and experience. And I think it's obviously like Coach Isaiah and like Chase Coleman and people who have been in the program,
Yeah.
just so relatable in terms of the advice they're giving and the experience that they've been through. I think it's just, invaluable for us as players to have those people around.
So everyone is really curious about this upcoming season, but I was just gonna ask you on a personal level, do you have any goals, anything in particular? You're like, all right, this is the year I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. Is there anything like that you'd want to share?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like I have personal goals. I think that probably just overall, just trying to be the best I can be for this team. I think that we have a really special group of people that have come together, and yeah, just any way that I can try and make this team better would be what my goal would be. I think that everyone around the program is really excited for this upcoming year, and the new additions have been awesome to play with them and get to know them as people. So yeah, just really excited.
Let's get into that. Everyone's curious, or we get so many questions, as you can imagine. Maybe walk us through. We'll start. We'll go through the number one, Jaylen Waddle. What have you seen from him out of the gate?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I actually don't have someone in my class, so Jaylen joining as a senior has been super cool to have someone in my class. I guess most people listening to this would know him. Obviously playing at Florida State.
Right.
Awesome dude, like such a nice, kind person. Like first of all, and then on court, just great defender. Obviously can really go in transition and get downhill, which I think is like his biggest strength. And yeah, I'd say just like playing with him just, gets everyone else involved. Yeah, just an awesome guy to be around and to play with on the court.
And in terms of position or role, like how do you see him fitting in
Yeah,
with the rest
I
of the
think
guys?
obviously like he's so versatile, which I think is like one of his biggest strengths. I think he can truly play like 1 through 4.
Really?
Obviously
Wow.
he's 6. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
he's listed at, but I'd
6'7", 6'8".
say 6'7", 6'8", and like with his ball handling skills and that, I think he's just super versatile. So I'm not sure like exactly how it'd be utilized, but I would imagine it'd be in many different aspects.
Amazing. How about number 2, Elijah Saunders
Yeah,
from San
Elijah's
Diego?
been great. I've been super impressed with him as a player, just the way in which he plays. He can do a little bit of everything. He can pick and pop and shoot the 3 ball well. He's obviously super physical. Yeah, just great addition for us. Another guy who's like super versatile, like in so many ways. And just a great guy off the court. I think although he's in his third year, he's brings a lot of experience. And yeah, just another guy, joy to play with.
Yeah, a guy who's gone deep in March. I
Mm-hmm.
imagine the coaches and stuff are going to rely on that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. Two really versatile guys. Next one, the first year, Jacob Coffey, 6'10", big guy. How's he been?
Yeah, awesome. Jacob's just like such a joy to be around. He's I keep saying it, but it's true that he's another versatile guy. I think he can like shoot the mid range, shoot the three really well. He can roll hard as well. So I think, just awesome to be around him. I think he's going to be a big part of this program for sure. And yeah, just such a nice guy to be around, always having fun. So that's been awesome.
Is he? You said he's pretty versatile in terms of playing down low. Is he physical, or is he more? Is he?
Yeah, he can.
Pop?
He can finish at the rim. He's got mid range three.
Nice. And then number 7. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name. Dida Ames. Is that right?
Yeah, Dida Ames. That's been super cool. He's great point guard. Lefty. He can get downhill. He can shoot it. He's got a great handle, and just another guy off the court. A little bit quiet, but just such a nice guy. Obviously, when it's time to play, he goes hard. I think another awesome addition that we've been able to get this season. Yeah.
I mean, we obviously lose two guys to the league in Reese and Ryan, but how do you see these guys coming in, and especially at the point guard position? How do you see that working out?
Yeah, for sure. Just to your point of losing Reese and Ryan, obviously, like, amazing that they've gone on to the NBA. Was such a pleasure to play with them and see their development in the past few seasons that I've been here. I'd say that, I think obviously they're two, big losses, super talented. But I think, all the new guys like bring a different look and like a different versatility. I wouldn't like to say it's like trade this guy for this guy. But I think that, everyone's bringing like a unique aspect.
About putting it together. And then the next one, I've heard a lot of good things, mostly from Forrest, because I think he's taken a lot of interest in Ishan Sharma, number 9 guard. How what have you seen from him? I've heard good things in terms of shooting touch and all that.
Ish has been great. Obviously he's from Canada, so that's been cool to have someone international guy, although it's not like too far. Great shooter. I think obviously more than a shooter too, like, you can put the ball on the floor. Another great addition that we've been able to have. I think he brings like so much joy as well. Works super hard. So like Jacob, I think he's going to be a massive part of this program moving forward.
And then, red shirt freshman that we haven't seen, Anthony Robinson. What have you seen from him? And
it's funny. It feels like he's been here forever, obviously, with his red shirt. Just got an amazing body. He's super big. I think that, he's just got better in the time that I've seen him develop. He's just gotten better and better. And I think that, obviously very athletic, like a lob threat too. So I think definitely going to bring a different look. Really excited.
What's a comp for him in terms of playing style?
I don't know, like too many NBA like bigs maybe off the top of my head.
Just at UVA, anyone you can compare him to at UVA that in your time that reminiscent of, or no? Pretty unique.
Yeah, I think he's pretty unique. I think that he's obviously like a really big body, but the way he moves is like super coordinated, dunking and finishing. And I think, he's like trying to develop a shot. But I'm not sure like directly who like comparison would be. Yeah.
Interesting. Next one, I think a lot of people are curious. TJ Power, another from Duke. We've learned to hate Duke as Virginia fans, and now we've got one on the team. It's kind of a strange feeling, but everyone's excited to hear how he's doing. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, another like, all these guys have just been awesome. Obviously, the way Coach Bennett was able to pick these guys up. TJ's great guy, such a kind guy, and I think that just on the floor, another like really versatile guy. I think that he can shoot the ball really well, put it on the floor, play out of the post. I think he's I think he brings a lot of like leadership and a lot of experience. Although it's only going to be his second year, I think he obviously learned a lot of things at Duke that is really going to be able to help us. So yeah, another player that I'm just really excited to play with. Yeah,
I mean, he didn't get a ton of I don't know, playing time and effort at Duke. What do you think? Does he have a chip on his shoulder from that, like trying to prove himself, or is he? Because I know he almost came to UVA instead of Duke, and now he's here.
yeah. Obviously, don't want to like talk on his behalf, but I think that he's being super professional. He never talks down about anything. I think that I think he's just excited to be able to compete like everyone, and I think I think he's going to have a big role in terms of playing with us. So yeah, just again, super excited to be able to play with him and just see him grow.
Amazing. Next one, another red shirt, Christian Bliss. We've heard sort of Mark Jerome, who's normally would do this, has been talking about Christian for a while, and we're excited to hear. Everybody says he's got some Ty Jerome vibes, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. Christian, again, like Anthony, feels funny that we're talking about them. I guess a year's a long time. Yeah, Christian's been great. Battled with like a little bit of injuries here and there, which I think has been frustrating for him. But I think he's by the season comes around, he's going to be on the right track. But yeah, another guy just super controlled. Has like a great handle and getting other people involved. So another person who I think is going to be a big part of this program moving forward.
And then Charlottesville native transfer Carter Lang. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, Carter's been a great addition that we have. Obviously, bigs are like hard to get out of the portal, so been awesome to have him here. I mean, obviously being from Charlottesville, I think that's been really cool for him to come back home and be around his family and different things like that. So yeah, just another player who awesome to be around, great teammate to have, and just excited to be able to be with him this year.
And then I mean, obviously I just went through a lot of people. This is a lot of newcomers coming in, probably the most in a really long time. Mm-hmm. Like what in terms of like expectations on working together, and that's a lot of. You mentioned versatility in a bunch of these evaluations here. Like I imagine it's going to be some work to sort of put all these puzzle pieces together. What are your thoughts in terms of like getting out of the gate and best foot forward in terms of expectations for the season?
Yeah, I think that it's funny, like obviously it is like a lot of new people, but I think quickly once everyone gets together, you kind of figure out this is our team. And I guess the good thing about college basketball is you're together in the summer and then you're together in the fall, so that's like quite a long period of time but we are together before we start playing games. I think that even just from the summer in itself, we've definitely gotten a lot closer. I think that everyone's like gelling really well. Obviously all of those guys are great people. I think that matters a lot in terms of a team coming together. So I think by the time the season starts, obviously I think everyone will be super close and ready to go. Yeah.
And in terms of like, obviously it's very, very extremely early, but relative to the years prior, how do you feel this team in terms of where it's at and where it can go? Like how do you feel? How do you stack rank this versus any similarities, better, worse, average?
Yeah, I think that every year I've been here, it's been like a different look that we've had, just with transition of guys in and out. I'm really excited about this year. I think that there's like a lot of versatility in this team. I think obviously, having Elijah and TJ at the 4 with, shooting as being able to open up the court a lot. Yeah, just really excited. I think, obviously still like really early in finding our identity and different things like that. But yeah, I think that everyone's been really excited just, from what we've seen this summer. And we're continuing to work really hard to try and put our best foot forward.
And then of all the returning guys, I know we're gonna miss Elijah Gertrude, obviously with his injury, but how are the other guys looking? Anybody surprise you in terms of like, an addition to their game or coming back stronger than before?
I think everyone, who returned has gotten better. I think that, we've all been working really hard this off season. I think that, obviously the guys who are returning, we're trying really hard to share our knowledge as fast as we can and different things to help everyone get on the same page. I'd say everyone's made big jumps in the game, and just been awesome, I guess, to have the returning guys and then obviously have the new guys and just be able to mix together and just have our squad for this year.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll talk one more kind of basketball related, but sneaker wise, we talked about sneakers prior to this. What are you gonna wear this season? Like, you kind of done the Kobe thing, and you've done a few others. What do you got planned for us this season?
Yeah, I guess last year I wore like the same shoes every game. They were kind of like a green pair of shoes. They were actually GT cuts, which is like a Nike, not really like a signature line. I'm not sure. I really like those shoes, so if I can try find them and a new pair, the pair that I wore was pretty wrecked. But yeah, maybe those. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I haven't really thought about it too much.
And then in terms of like what you like to wear, we appreciate you always rocking the LRA gear and other things. Off the court, is there anything in particular style wise that you're venturing into?
Love the locker room access stuff. Definitely love the hoodies in the winter. Those are super cool. Not really like anything in particular as such. Probably in like active wear a lot, just kind of how it is, working out and different things.
I see a lot of the guys now rocking some like real like fashion brand stuff. Like the guys are really into it. I see now we're doing the post before the picture. Is there any like do you actually prep for that or do you not care? Because I see even looking casual takes some effort nowadays. Like you gotta put your outfit together and then
I give it like a little bit of thought. I wouldn't say I'm like a fashionista guy like maybe some other people on my team. But yeah, I think it's with NIL it's changed a few things for sure in my time being here.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like I'm seeing the Supreme and Amiri and all the huge big brands. I'm like, wow, okay, like it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool to see the guys rocking the stuff. And yeah, like I said, now with NIL and Delia, we'll be working together a little more, Taine, to get you some stuff while you're in the Bahamas. I know you can do some deals then. So for all the people out there that are thinking of supporting Taine, because he's international. Doesn't really participate in the NIL while he's in the States, but when he's overseas, when you're not in the country, right? That's how it works. So while you're in the Bahamas, you can do some NIL deals, and that's where we've lined up, True Blue Pools, and we've lined up. Delio is also lined up for him. We're gonna do an LRA deal. We'll get you some more. We got some other things coming, hopefully. So while you're over there, we can stack you up with a few NIL deals. So. We're looking forward to it, and obviously we're big fans. Wish you nothing but the best this season. Hope you can show us what you got, man. We're excited for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your support and having me on here today.
And that is it. So make sure you subscribe below if you want to hear more. Maybe we'll have Taine on again later in the year and catch up with you. Maybe give us a few minutes of your time, and otherwise we will catch you on the forum. Thank you again, Taine.